looks like we've started. Yoshi, is everything set?
Yeah.
Good. Come and join us. Right, just waiting for the room to fill up now. Yep. If you've got any friends that you think might enjoy this today, then do give them a quick call, send them a message, do whatever you like, pick the phone up to them, Facebook them, or whatever you normally do to get in touch. Get everyone along you can. The more people we have here, the more fun we're going to have together. Yeah, welcome aboard everyone. It's good to see you. Now, pop something in the comments if you just want to tell us you're here, and pop down maybe your age and what country you're from, because then we can see who's in here from the rest of the world, which will be terrific. Let's see if we can find people from all kinds of different countries. We're broadcasting from England, and oh, you joining us, Karen? Yeah, excellent. Karen's ready. Nice to see you, Karen. This is going to be for all kinds of age groups, so if you're a real youngster, I don't know, 5 years old even, you're going to enjoy this. And even if you're in your 50s and 60s and beyond, then you're going to enjoy this. Trust me, it's going to be fun, and you're going to learn some really good things. Oh,
Now a ninja.
Mishy's here. That's great. Have you
Hey everyone.
Have you got anything to share with us? A little joke perhaps today?
Yeah, so if you had 10 apples in one hand and 8 apples in the other, what would you have?
18 apples?
Yeah.
No.
Is that about right? No?
Big hands.
Big hat. Oh. So, Yoshi, what do you have lined up for us this week that's actually going to be fun?
We have lots of points to give away to all of you for turning up and commenting. And what do points make?
Prizes! What do you got for prizes, Yoshi?
Right, we have £3,000 of prizes to give away, including some really cool merch for you guys.
Yeah.
Excellent, that's good. So how do we get these points?
So you get points for turning up and commenting, and bonus points for commenting in the first 2 minutes, so get here early, and more bonus points for commenting in the last 2 minutes, so stay till the end.
Do you want to tell us a bit more about the prizes, Yosh?
Yeah, we have £3,000 of prizes to give away, including some really cool merch. T-shirts, jumpers, hoodies, mugs, phone cases, all sorts. I'll tell you more about that later.
Oh wow. Have you emptied my bank account or something? Oh my goodness, £3,000. I'm looking forward to that. So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, so it's great to see you all here. Lovely. I think there's going to be some more people coming along, especially if you keep on inviting your friends. Feel free to keep on shouting out to them, let them know that this is going on, that they're missing out right now. Today, what we're going to be doing is starting off with the very basic end of this whole multiplication system. Everything throughout these premieres is going to be for all kinds of age groups, right the way from very beginners. So if you're a youngster out there, or maybe someone who's older but struggles with math, don't worry about it. There's going to be some really good stuff in here for you. Through the intermediates and more advanced learners, you're all going to learn something. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been through this course many times now, and you enjoy it each time, don't you? We play this great game which really sort of helps you to develop your skills with confidence with numbers, and the whole thing is so easy to do that you won't feel like you're learning, quite frankly. And it's nothing like memorising multiplication tables, so don't worry about that.
I guarantee you will enjoy it.
Oh, thanks, Mishy. You've enjoyed it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Good. To give you an idea of what this is going to be like, let me just read you a few quick messages that have come in just in the last few days from people who've been doing this course through my website. I've had this one in from Mike Bird in New Zealand. Hi Mike, if you're here with us, give us a shout out. Mike says, I'm going to do the course with my 2 boys, 12 and 9. Similar ages to you, huh?
Yeah.
And spread it over a couple of weeks if need be. We completed the lesson videos for Yellow Belt this evening. If the rest of the course is anything close to as understandable as the Yellow Belt videos, I'm so excited to see the boys' progression. Thanks Mike, it's really good to hear. I hope you're enjoying the rest of the course by now.
Yeah.
P.S. Your kids are so cute.
Oh.
That's you as well. Thanks Mike. I have this in from Monica Perez in Sweden. She said, oh thank you. Thanks Monica. She sends a short email just to brighten up your Sunday. My son has almost finished the first belt and he loved it. We both know that it's a super easy belt, but he feels confident and he thinks that now he is very good at maths. He is. Well done. His self-esteem was on the floor before starting this course. We love the technique, the process of the 3 steps, because that makes children that are impulsive or lack attention actually pay attention. Yes, you're right. Your calming voice, really? Thank you. The background music and the lovely children that participate in the video.
Aww.
Yeah, Well done, guys. So far, a great success. So feel proud that at least you've made one child happy and confident. Thank you very much, Monica. That's really nice to hear that sort of feedback. And hopefully this week we'll be able to reach an awful lot more children in the same way. And just quickly, another one here from Paolo Goncalves out in Dubai. Thanks for sending the feedback, Paolo. It says, "Hi Lee, I started watching with my 9-year-old yesterday and I wish this was there when I was his age. I intend to do the lessons with him and learn too." And that's exactly what happens with most people. If you're a child, get your parents to sit down with you, mum or dad or both of them, because adults, they often, when they see how easy this is, they realise actually they can be a lot better with numbers than they realised they could be. And most parents who do this alongside their children get an awful lot out of this too.
Yeah.
Right guys, should we go and make ourselves a bit more comfortable?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, come on. Alright, that should be more comfy. Yeah. Right, before we get started, there's something I really like to do with people going through this course, and that is I like to gauge where you're at before you do it and see how you're doing along the way, so we kind of get some measurement about how much the course has helped you. So what I'd really like to do is get a feel for if there's anyone that's a complete beginner, then I need to know that. And if you're sort of some way through learning your multiplication tables, it's good to know that too. So what we're going to do is a very, very short and simple test. Don't worry, if you've not done this before, just give yourself a score of 0 and we'll see what we can do over the next 2 weeks to get your 0 score up a little bit higher. But if you want to have a go at this little test, then we're going to give you some points for any things that you get right. It's just going to be 10 questions and you get a score from 0 up to 10. There's no shame if you get a 0. What we're more interested in is how much we can lift your score over these 10 days, okay? So what I'd love you to do is have a go at this test. It's just going to be 10 multiplication problems from up to the 12 times table, and for each one that you get right, you're going to get 1 point. So if you get all 10, right, you'll score a 10. Now you're going to have 1 minute. I'll put them on the screen and take your 1 minute, see how many of these you can get right. I'll give you the answers in a minute. Okay, here we go. Right, the minute's up, the answers are going on the screen now. Just check them against what you had and see how many of these you got right. If you could pop your score for whether you got 1 right, 2 right or so on, up to 10, if you can put your score down in the comments, that gives me an indication of where you're at right now. Don't worry if you're scoring 0, just put that down and we can see how much we can lift you from that 0 point up towards 10 by the end of next week. But there's something special we're going to do for you. Yoshi, what do they...
Just by putting your score down, you can get 1,000 points.
So even if they get 0 in the test,
yeah,
they're going to get 1,000 points just for posting that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they score 10 out of 10, they get the same 1,000 points. Mm-hmm. So the 1,000 points is just for putting your genuine score down, because that's going to help us to gauge where you're at now and how much we've managed to improve things. So pop your scores down in the box and we'll get straight on with the first little video. Here we go. Now, one of the patterns, in fact the first pattern we're going to learn today, is when we're doing something like 8 times 8. And the pattern we see here is that there are 2 8s involved in the problem.
Okay.
So that pattern is going to teach us to choose the X.
Okay.
Now there's just going to be a few of these where you recognise a specific pattern and you say, I'm going to choose the X in the middle because I recognise the pattern. And the first pattern I want you to learn, the one that we're going to learn today, is 8 and 8. Whenever you see those two together, that's a special pattern where you're going to choose the X. Okay?
Yeah. How many of those X keys were there?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. A lot of people ask this. The X keys, the times when you choose X in the middle instead of one of the numbers on the other side, there's only 4 occasions when you do that. And now compared with memorising whole tables full of answers, you know, a typical times table, if you're learning up to 12 times whatever, you've got 12 answers to learn in every individual times table. But there's 4 simple X combinations, and each one has its own special little picture story to help you identify when to use it, what particular combinations to look for. Yeah. Now, have you ever played chess or checkers?
Yes.
Yeah, I have. That's good. This is a board that you'd use for playing a game like that. Yeah. And if you notice, how many squares do we have along one side here? Can you count those for me, Karen?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So there's 8 squares along that side. And if we go down this side here, what do we got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So we've got 8 rows of 8 squares.
Yes.
So how would we represent that problem as a multiplication problem? It would be 8 times
8.
8. That's right. So 8 times 8 would tell us how many squares there are on this overall board. And can you see it would take rather a long time to count all those squares up, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Would you like to have a go at it?
No.
No. I wouldn't fancy that either. Mishy, do you fancy doing it for us? You'll probably be a bit quicker.
No.
No. Well, let me just tell you, whatever chessboard you've got, whether it's a miniature chessboard that you take with you travelling in the car, or whether it's one of those enormous ones you might see in someone's garden with huge pieces that you can move around, if there's 8 squares in each row, and there are 8 rows, then it's always going to have the same number of squares. So 8 times 8 is always going to be the same answer. Right, so that's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
I mean, we've got our own chessboard, haven't we? Which we've been learning how to play chess and having a bit of fun. Certainly, there's an awful lot of squares there. You wouldn't normally think of counting them, but this idea of thinking of things in a grid really helps you understand what multiplication is with the rows and the columns, and many things are organised. Maybe you can think of the sort of things that you might find that are organised in this sort of way.
Yeah.
You just look around you and see how many things you'll find. If you're a Lego player, you'll see those little circles, what do they call them? The bits on the Lego.
Studs.
The studs on your Lego. You'll see the patterns of those and you'll think of them in terms of multiplications. 2 by 3, yeah?
Yeah.
Or 2 by 4 or 2 by 2, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on then and see how we would use that with multiplying 8 by 8 using the chessboard as our picture. Yeah. What I want you to do is have a little look at what I've written on the back of this chessboard. What's that say?
64.
64. That saves you counting up all those squares. Now, if I turn that chessboard over so you can't see the back anymore, can you tell me what number was written there?
64.
64. Should we have a check and just make sure? There we go. 64?
Yes.
If I was to ask you later on what number I've written on the back of my chessboard, do you think you'd remember?
Yes.
What if I ask you tomorrow?
I always remember things.
You always remember things, that's good. Because I might ask you that later on, and I might ask you tomorrow. So what number is on the back of my chessboard?
64. 64.
64, let's just check, shall we? There we go, 64. All of these squares would be quite difficult to count them fast, and sometimes people try and learn to skip counts, so they would go like 8, 16, 24, and they're kind of trying to skip the numbers in their head. But even that takes a long time to get down through all the 8 skips to end up at the bottom number here. When really all we have to do is say, oh, it's a chessboard, and I remember on the back of my chessboard I've got the number 64. What I'm going to suggest you do, if you've got a chessboard at home, then put a bit of paper on the back and write 64 on it. I know it sounds daft, but when you do that, you can test yourself. As you get up tomorrow morning, have a look on the back, and before you do, say to yourself, what number was it I put on the back? Because you'll probably remember it was 64. If you don't have a chessboard, don't worry, just write the number 64 and put it in a box or something like that and call that your chessboard. But that helps to make it stick, the remembering of 64 with the chessboard. So whenever you see a problem written down like this of 8 times 8, choose the X because you see this pattern of 8 times 8, and then the X is going to link to a picture, and the picture we're going to use is
the chessboard.
It's the chessboard. So that's taking you from, remember the 3-step process? We choose the key, you've chosen the X.
Yeah.
That particular X is linking us to the chessboard picture.
Yes.
And then I said to you, the picture then moves on to play a story. And our story with the chessboard is simply that we flip it over. So in your mind, can you picture this chessboard being flipped over and tell me what number I've got written on the back?
64.
64. You've just played the story, so you've solved the problem of 8 times 8. And you've come up with the answer of 64.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got that. Mishy, could you just quickly summarise? What's the first step?
The X is the key.
Why do you choose X as the key?
Because it's the combination of the 2 numbers on the side.
So you see those 2 8s and you say,
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the X in the middle. Yeah? What's the second one?
The picture is the chessboard.
So you choose the chessboard because there were 2 8s in the combination. Yeah? And the third step?
You flip the chessboard over, and then on the back is 64.
Okay, so that's how you get to the answer 64 when you see the problem 8 times 8.
And after a while, it just clicks in because you see 8 times 8, and you don't have to go through the 3 steps in your head. You just see 64 when you see 8 times 8.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so it kind of programs the mind in so that you are essentially memorising that problem without having to memorise it. It becomes a way of getting the answers into your head without thinking, oh, I've got this table of answers, I've got to learn them all. But they do get into your head,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's
that you're able to
strange.
do the multiplication. It is strange, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've both noticed that over since you started to use this process, and it starts to fall into place for many of the other problems too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if you've understood that 3-step process, just to help us understand whether you're getting this, give us a 5.
Yeah.
Just to show that you've understood the 3-step process. Okay? And I think it's time to move on to another picture story,
Yeah.
don't you?
Excuse me, Dad. Before we go on, I've got a riddle for you.
A riddle. Oh, I like riddles. What's in it for me, if I get it right?
My last drumstick.
Drumsticks. I like drumsticks even more than I like riddles. Okay. And if I get it wrong?
What do you think, Nish? Well, you know how much you love your coffee?
Yes.
If you can't solve the riddle, then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of ginger, a whole teaspoon, to your coffee, and you're going to have to drink it this Friday.
Oh gosh, right, I hope I can solve this riddle. Go on then, shoot.
Right, Dad, listen very carefully.
Okay,
There was an empty castle.
an empty castle, right.
One night, a king and a queen went into the castle.
A king and a queen, yes.
The next morning, the king came out, and
Yes,
the queen came out,
okay.
and nobody else went into the castle or came out of the castle.
Okay, yeah.
Who was left in the castle?
Well, that's pretty easy. You might as well give me your drumstick now.
Well, give me your answer then, Dad.
Well, nobody's left in the castle. You told me it was an empty castle, yeah? The king and the queen went in, the king and the queen came out, nobody else went in or out, and If it was empty to start with, it's got to be empty to finish with. So it's just an empty castle. No one's in there. Huh? I was stumped. Can I have some time to think about it? Come on, guys, give me a hand. Drop your suggestions down in the comment.
And you're not allowed to read the comments, Dad.
I'm not allowed to read the comment.
But comment anyways, because you'll get points just for guessing. And if anyone gets it right, the first person to get it right will get 500 points.
Oh, whoa. Nice for you. Well, best of luck. Come back to me though, okay? Because I want that drumstick and I don't want my ginger. I don't want my coffee spoiled with ginger, thanks very much. Okay, while I'm thinking about that, let's move on, shall we? Now, we said that there are 4 X keys, but with every other multiplication, we're going to use one of the numbers on either side of the X. And we're going to look right now at the first one of those, where you're going to choose something other than the X in the middle. Now, do you remember earlier on we were talking about the multiplication table? Here it is. And I showed you we had the numbers from 1 to 12.
Yeah.
And I showed you that sometimes it can be bigger still. Someone might learn the multiplication table up to 20. Let's see, 20 times 20. Well, it might go even further. But something that very, very rarely appears on a multiplication table is a number that's smaller than 1. Can you think of a number that's smaller than 1?
0.
0, well done. Because it's not on the table, it often trips people up. So for example, someone might be asked, what is 0 times 6 or 6 times 0? Same thing. And because they didn't memorise the answer to 6 times 0, because it wasn't on their multiplication table for memorising, they will often get answers like that wrong. Okay? So I think it's really fundamentally important that we don't start with 1, but we start with 0.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at what a 0 multiplication problem would look like. Here we go, let's say 0 times 5. Now, what we want to know is, when do we choose 0 as a key? And it's a really easy answer. Would you like to know?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's whenever you see 0 in a problem, whether it's on the left or on the right, I always, in every single case, I always want you to choose the 0 as the key.
Yes.
Yeah? Because it's always going to be the absolute fastest key to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see 0 in a problem, 0 times 5, or 7 times 0, or 93 times 0, or 0 times 17, if there's a 0 there on one side of the X, always choose 0 as the key. It's as simple as that. So that's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah.
If there's any problem where you've got a 0, we're just going to choose the 0 as the key?
Yeah.
Yeah? Let's move straight on and look at the next one.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a black hole?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Something out in space?
Yes. Yes.
You have. It's something that is very, very black, dark, because whatever gets anywhere near it gets sucked into it and becomes part of the whole. And it's so massive, it's got so much stuff in there that it's got a very, very strong gravitational pull. So that if an astronaut was to try and travel past the black hole, if he got anywhere near it, the gravity would just pull him in until he eventually fell into the black hole. And we don't know what would happen to him when he fell in. But even if the astronaut was a long, long way away, if he shone his torch towards the black hole, maybe to one side, to try and shine the torch past the black hole, the gravity is so strong that even the light from the torch would get bent and drawn into the black hole. So the gravity is so strong that it can even draw light into the hole, and the light can't escape.
That's just confusing.
That is confusing, isn't it? But that's why the hole
ends up looking like a hole because no light can escape. It's not actually a hole, there's loads and loads of mass inside that thing that we call a black hole, but because nothing can escape, it just looks black. Now, why are we talking about this? If you look at this number 0, it's round.
And it looks like a hole.
And it looks like a hole. In fact, if I coloured it in, you'd have what looks like a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I told you that when you choose your key here, we chose earlier on 0 as our key, that there's going to be a special picture associated with that number that you've chosen. And whenever you choose 0 as your key, the picture I need you to remember is the thing that looks like a big fat 0. What is the picture we've just been talking about?
Black hole. Black
The
hole.
black hole. So I want you to remember the black hole is the picture that goes with 0.
So that's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the way that the black hole and the 0, they're so easily to relate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just like all the other picture stories, and that's what makes it so easy.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, you're right. You know, some people, they use these sort of techniques to develop what they call photographic memory. It's a scientifically proven method of remembering things by just linking them together. This is what memory experts do, and all of this is built into the system so that you don't have to do any hard work with remembering things, because we've set these links up for you.
Yeah.
So that a 0 and a black hole, and you'll find with each of the numbers there'll be a very clear kind of visual link between the number and the picture that we work through.
Okay, so let's look at how we use this to do a multiplication by 0. We've chosen 0 as the key, and we've linked it to our picture of the black hole.
Yes.
Now that's the first 2 steps of our 3-step process. We chose the key and we linked it to the picture. The picture for 0 will always be the black hole.
Oh.
And whenever we see a 0 in the problem, we always choose the 0.
Okay.
Yeah? So we've arrived at having a black hole, and we've now got to do the story that relates to the black hole. Now, what was it I told you about black holes out in space? What happens to anything near a black hole?
It gets sucked in.
It gets sucked in. So everything's going to get sucked into this black hole, and what will be left?
Black hole. Black hole.
Just a black hole. And what does the black hole represent? What number?
0. 0.
0. So your answer is always going to be 0. In this case we had 0 times 5. The 5 got sucked into the black hole to disappear, leaving our answer of 0. That's how we multiply by 0 using the 3 steps.
Okay, so that's pretty easy, isn't it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Multiplying anything by 0.
It's just like the way that a black hole works.
It's just how a black hole would work, yes. Do you guys get that? Yeah, I'd just love to know. It really helps me if you can put that high 5 down in the black in the black hole, down in the comments below, just to confirm that you're understanding this process. It just lets us know that we're on the right track getting this across to you, okay? So if you've understood how to multiply things by 0 using those 3 steps, type 5 in the comments below right now. Just in case you're unsure and you want to see how some of these work, let's run through some examples. If there was a 0 times table, let's look at what those answers would look like.
Yeah.
Ready?
Okay, so let's look at see how we use that black hole process, that picture story, to multiply numbers up to 12 by 0. So if I had, let's say, 0 times 1, what's the key going to be here?
0.
0. Why do we choose the 0?
Because we always choose 0.
If there's a 0 there, we always choose it.
0.
So we're choosing the 0. Now, what picture do we think of when we see a 0?
The black hole. The black hole.
The black hole. Good. And the story with the black hole is what happens to the 1.
It gets sucked up. It gets sucked up.
gets sucked into the 0 and just disappears. So the answer to our problem of 0 times 1 is going to be
0.
Is going to be 0. So there we go. 0 times 1 is 0. Now let's just change that 1 and do 0 times 2. What's the key going to be?
0.
Why the 0?
Because we always choose 0 if the 0 is there first.
If there's a 0 there, we choose it.
And the 2 gets sucked in.
And the 2's going to get sucked into the black hole, leaving us with
0.
So 0 times 2 is 0. Let's try it with 3, shall we? If we've got 0 times 3, which one is the key?
0.
Why are you choosing the 0?
Because we always choose the 0 first.
Always choose the 0 if there is a 0. So what happens to the 3?
He gets sucked in.
Leaving
0.
So 0 times 3 is 0. I think you can see where we're going with this, can't you? 0 times 4 is
0.
0 times 5.
0.
0 times 6. 0 times 7.
0.
0 times 8.
0.
0 times 9.
0.
0 times 10.
0.
0 times 11.
0.
0 times 12.
0.
So they're all 0. Yeah? Even if we were to do 0 times 0, if there were two black holes that got anywhere near each other, they would suck themselves into become one even bigger black hole. So 0 times 0 would be 0 as well. This is why 0 is such a fast key to choose, and because it's so fast, we'll always choose the 0 if there's one there. So we definitely got that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just make absolutely sure. Let's go 7 times 0. 0. 9 times 0.
0.
12 times 0.
0.
Excellent. What about you guys? Yeah? 0, 0, 0. And what if they were even bigger numbers? Let's just double check. Now, to get your Number Ninja black belt, you only need to be able to multiply numbers up to 12. But let's just have a look at how this 0 black hole picture operates with numbers that are bigger than 12, because I think you could go beyond the black belt with this. Would you like to try?
Yes.
So let's try, let's say 0 times 20. What would the key be?
0.
Because there's a 0, you're choosing the 0. What would the picture be?
The black hole.
And what would the answer be?
0. 0.
Good. Let's try 0 times 100.
0.
0. We just know the answer. What about 0 times 1000?
0. 0.
0 times 1,000,000?
0.
It doesn't matter how big we go, because there's a 0, we'll always choose 0, and we'll always lead to the black hole, and whatever we're multiplying by that 0 is going to disappear. So it doesn't matter how big we go, the answer's always going to be 0.
0.
Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Good. So basically, it's no more difficult, even if the numbers are bigger than 12.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So it isn't really a problem.
There just isn't a problem. We can multiply anything by 0. And this is one of the things I love about this multiplication system. It doesn't keep you into the confines of 12 times 12. Already, today, you could now go as far as multiplying 13 by 0. Yeah.
0.
14?
0.
15?
0.
16?
0. Yeah.
You could keep going, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it doesn't matter how big one of these numbers is. We can use this picture story of the 0 and the black hole to multiply any number. We're not limited to the 12 times table. And that's one of the things about this whole multiplication system. We don't want to be kept in a box where we can only multiply up to 12. The students who come through this, when we did the advanced parts of this course, you found that you were doing things like 17 times 19, and you just come up with the answers because those things are built in there based on these picture stories. And a lot of people who learn up to 12 times 12, the moment they're doing 13 times something, they're lost because they didn't kind of learn those answers. But you don't need to learn the answers, you just need to learn the process, learn
each of the pictures, how these links work, and you find yourself working out the answer quickly and confidently in your head without a sweat. It just becomes a skill that you develop, like your basketball shots.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? If you were doing, say, 1,000 times 0?
0.
0? Yeah.
Have you solved my riddle yet, Dad?
I solved your riddle. I'd forgotten about the riddle.
Remember, the first person to get the answer right gets 500 points.
Yep.
Okay, let's hear this riddle again.
So there was an empty castle.
There's an empty castle.
One night, a king and a queen went into the castle.
Yes.
The next day, the king came out and the queen came out.
Yes.
Who was left in the castle?
Did anyone else come or go in the night? Nobody else went in or out? Okay. There's no one left in the castle. The king and queen went in, the king and queen came out. It was empty, no one else came or went, so it must be an empty castle. Come on, give me your drumstick.
Nope.
Oh. Alright then, what's the answer?
You know how much you like chess, Dad?
I do enjoy chairs, yes.
Imagine this is the castle.
Yeah. Okay, so we got an empty castle, empty box, okay, yeah.
Where are your chess pieces, Dad?
Where are my chess pieces? They're around here. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. The king, if you play chess, that's the king, that's the queen. So you told me the empty castle, the king and the queen went into the castle. The king came out, the queen came out, and you asked me who is left in the castle, and I can quite clearly see it's empty. Yes?
No, Dad. I said when night a king and a queen went into the castle.
That's a knight. One night, a king and a queen went into the castle. The king came out, the queen came out, and who was left in the castle? The knight. You got me. Well done. So what do I have to do again?
That's 1 whole teaspoon of ginger added to your coffee this Friday.
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, not looking forward to that.
And I get the drumstick.
You get the drumstick. Oh. Hopefully you've found that pretty easy so far, and it's given you a good introduction to how my 3 steps work and how you use those picture stories for any multiplication. This was a very easy place to start, and we're going to be going steadily forwards as we work through the various picture stories. By the end of coming to these every day, you'll be doing so many of these picture stories, you'll be surprised how many of the multiplications you'll be able to handle in simple way, just like you've been doing with these ones.
Yep.
And remember that it's going to be this same easy process that we're going to use, just with a different picture each time we introduce a new thing to multiply by. And we're going to introduce you to the next picture story in tomorrow's live show. So to make sure you get your invitation, be sure you're subscribed to the channel, and you should get a notification in your feed sometime before. Sorry, Yoshi, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, make sure you get there early, because if you comment in the first 2 minutes, you'll get 200 points for turning up on time. And the first person to comment gets 500 points, so make sure you get there early.
Thanks, Yoshi, for that reminder. Turn up early. Now that you've seen what this show is all about, I'm sure you can think of 1 or 2 more friends that might enjoy coming along too. So get in touch with them before tomorrow's show. Don't worry if they've missed today's live show, because you can always send them a link of the recording. It'll stay up on YouTube for a while. Then they can watch today's recording before turning up tomorrow and joining in the fun with you. Okay? Right, so I think we're about to sort of start winding things down for today. Joshua, I think there was something you wanted to add, wasn't there?
Quickly, before you go, put in a final comment to show that you stayed till the end, because you're going to get 300 points for being here as we finish.
Okay, that's great. Maybe you can tell us what you thought of today's show. Give us a score out of 10. Yeah? Pop your scores in the comments below, and we'll see you tomorrow. So what did you think? That was a bit nerve-wracking, wasn't it?